What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the North Shore 9 Postgame show powered by Primanti Brothers. I'm Jim. With me tonight is Neil. Neil, how are we doing tonight?
I'm good. I'm doing pretty good. I can't complain. How about you?
I'm doing very good as well. Got hit with a hurricane today. I figured living in Kentucky wouldn't be that big of an issue, but it has been raining nonstop for about 24 hours or so. And I think it's going to rain for like another 48 more hours. So
if it makes you feel any better, it's like raining for the past week here in Virginia, and I think it's going to rain for another week. So it could always be worse.
You know where it wasn't raining, though? Yankee Stadium.
No, it wasn't.
And the Pirates pick up their 75th win of the season. They were 1 win away from matching last year's total. But a nice 4-2 win today. Got a nice bounce back outing from Jared Jones, where he looked, a lot better than his last time out. Good start to end the year. Not exactly like his best start, but it was encouraging to see him flash his stuff. And then some long balls for the Pirates kind of led them to today's win. So we'll get into all that. Before we do, let me tell you about Bet Online. It's the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything football. Bet Online is every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads to bet on during the games. Think you know your stuff? Get in on our $200,000 mega contest and pick 5 games against the spread every week for your chance at weekly prizes and a share of $200,000. When the game's over, head on over to the online casino and get in on a game of blackjack or poker, or unwind with one of our over 150 slot games. Head to the website today. Bet Online. The game starts here. All right, before we tackle this one, Pirates win means we're giving away some sandwiches today. So make sure you get in your hashtag raise it in the comments. Hashtag raise it. That gets you into a contest for 2 free Primanti Brothers sandwiches. And you know what? I don't know how many more of these we're going to have this year. There's 2 more games left. I hope this isn't the last time we're giving away sandwiches, but
you hope for one more with one more Paul Skeens start, but you never know. This team's always full of surprises.
Yep. Yeah, you hope for one more win. Who knows? The Yankees, they clinched. They don't really have a whole lot to play for anymore. They were sitting some guys. Aaron Judge didn't play tonight. Something good can happen this weekend.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's get right into it. This was a pitcher's duel to start things off. Jared Jones and Carlos Rodon kind of just going blow for blow there. Bunch of strikeouts early on. Rodon struck out 3 Pirates in the first inning, all on 3 pitches. There were a couple singles sprinkled in there, so it wasn't an immaculate inning. So that's nice. But yeah, a lot of strikeouts early on because then the Yankees came up in the first, and Jones struck out Torres, struck out Soto. He pitched a scoreless first. You were really nothing offensively until the bottom of the 5th, which is when Jared Jones's day ended. But let's talk about Jones. I mean, in the 5th, he gets into a little bit of trouble. Trevino with the leadoff single, Cabrera doubles to make it 2nd and 3rd. He does get Gleyber Torres to ground out. And then he intentionally walks Soto. Derek Shelton pulls him to bring in Joey Wentz. We'll talk about that decision later. But let's just talk about Jared Jones. Yeah, let's just talk about Jared Jones right now before we get into this. Little bit of cause for concern, going into today's game. How was he going to look? He didn't look good his last outing. So yeah, you go into today and he's pumping 100. He's pumping 101 in the first. He's missing bats. He's attacking hitters. 11 swings and misses today on 85 pitches. It was he kind of looked like early season Jared Jones today.
Yeah, The only real complaint you could have from today is he's not as effective with his stuff in terms of like the amount of pitches. Like he was racking up pitch count pretty early, but no, it was very encouraging. Like he struck out Soto, I think, with his first at bat against him. He looked very comfortable for 4 innings. And again, it was a bad fifth, and we'll get to that. But really, I think this kind of just like emphasizes my belief that like the Jared Jones we're going to get next year is going to be dependent on how his curveball develops. Because we know the fastball is good, we know the slider is good, but it's just so hard to be an effective starter with only 2 pitches. And you can kind of see that today, where it's mostly slider, mostly fastball. And the hitters can kind of just sit back and wait for their pitch. And so the curveball didn't get any whiffs today. Thrown 13 times, 0 whiffs, 3 swings. I think it's either that or the changeup that's got to come through in this offseason to make him what we saw early on, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. I think I mean you make a good point. I think starting pitchers can succeed with 2 pitches. It's just they've got to be 2 really good pitches. Which when Jared Jones is on, he has 2 really good pitches, right?
Mhm.
What you want to see though is because you're going to have nights where one of your pitches isn't on, right?
Mhm.
Maybe the fastball doesn't have the zip on it that you're used to, or maybe the slider doesn't have the late break that you're used to. That's when you need to kind of rely on something else. And I think that's what, when we look at a pitcher like Jared Jones and we look at a pitcher like Paul Skeens, right? Like the stuff's obviously great on both
Mhm.
sides. But the thing that really separates them is when Skeens has a pitch that's just not working all that great, right?
Mhm.
He's got 4 other really good ones to go to. Or if Skeens has 2 pitches that are off that night, he's got 3 other really good ones to go to.
Mhm.
Jared Jones, when he's got a pitch that's off, he's only got 1 other really good one to go to.
Yeah.
If both are off, then he's kind of just up there laboring all night.
Mhm.
The fastball and slider both were pretty good today. 7 whiffs generated on the fastball. He was locating that fairly well, I thought. But yeah, a lot of pitches today. Like I said, 4 1/3 innings, 5 hits. He did strike out 7, 2 walks, gave up the 2 runs, but those were both after he was pulled. So listen, I think it was an encouraging start, an encouraging way to end the year.
Yeah.
It was a good bounce back, right? And you look at how this team hasn't performed very well down the stretch. They won 4 out of Jared Jones's last 5 starts.
Which is impressive since like it hasn't been the best Jared Jones either.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was really happy to see him throwing 100. He looked really confident. I feel like it's been a while since we've had like his trademark like strut around the mound after a strikeout, but I noticed he had that going on today. It was a good way to cap off a season, and I think it's a bit of a fall from grace, but I think anyone would have taken the low 4 ERA from Jared Jones's first rookie year. Like, there's a lot of growing pains. It's clear he's not all the way there yet, but he's a talented guy. And if the jump that we saw from last year to this year is anything to say, like, my brother made a good point about this. Like, there's a good chance he can make another jump from this offseason to the next season as well.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, this at the end of the day, I mean, this was a 22-year-old turned 23 during the middle of the
Mhm.
year. This was a pretty good rookie season for
Yeah,
Jared Jones. Yeah,
you take it every time.
100%, 100%. And you've
Yeah.
got to like what you
Yeah.
see going forward.
I have wondered though. Do you think he's going to have like a little bit of like the Starling Marte problem, where you start off like Starling Marte was like forever kind of like maligned because he led off with like a leadoff home run, and like people always kind of expected him to have the power that he never had. Do you think we're going to have that with like Jared Jones if he never like ascends to that almost like number 2 starter in the rotation?
It's a good question because early on in the year, you saw it was like every Jared Jones start, there was a crazy stat where he was doing something that starting pitchers never did in their first few starts. I could see that, and I think I think maybe the difference here is, Jerry Jones like burst onto the scene and he was dominant right off the bat, and then he's become a good major league starting pitcher, right? I think the difference between maybe those two is, I don't know if anybody really expected anything like this from Jared Jones. I know I didn't. Like I knew Jared Jones had great stuff, but I didn't know if he could do this at the major league level, especially this season, his rookie year. So I don't know. I it's possible. I mean, people are getting mad at Mitch Keller right now because he threw 173 innings and has a 4.2 ERA. So yeah, I guess anything's possible if if Jared Jones isn't an ace, right? People are gonna get mad.
Yeah, and that's because Pirates fans are never happy. Like even when our players are good, they're not always happy. So, no, and I guess satisfactory rookie year. It's a little disappointing again, just like where we started, but I'm excited for him next year because we can see the return of the velocity, and I want to see what they do with him in the offseason. I want to see what pitch they try to introduce because it might not be the curveball. It might be something new that they pick up, but he's a good pitcher, especially like he's 23 years old. Like most pitchers don't debut that young, so
no, and most pitchers don't do what he did as far as like from a strikeout standpoint to begin a career. So yeah, no, great, good stuff from Jared Jones. But going back to the fifth inning, he gets into a little bit of trouble. Gives up those 2 base runners. He walks Juan Soto. Derek Shelton then at 85 pitches in a 0-0 game turns to Joey Wentz with 1 out in the 4th, facing Jazz Chisholm, the Yankees' number 3 hitter. I see both sides to this argument because, like, you could say, okay, last outing, he probably left Jared Jones in too long because he didn't look like he was pitching very well. It didn't look healthy. There was something off. Today, he looked a lot better, and you pulled him after 85 pitches in a big spot to go to a guy who was DFA'd 3 weeks ago. Personally, I would have kept Jared Jones in. And instead they go to Joey Wentz. Joey Wentz gives up a base hit to Jazz Chisholm with a slightly drawn in infield. Throws the ball in the dirt. Chisholm and Soto both get to both advance. Luckily, he's able to get out of it with a couple of flyouts. Verdugo shallow fly out to center, and then Volpe flies out to center. So he gets out of it with just the 2 runs that get tagged to Jared Jones. But tell me what you think about that move. Is that something that you would have done?
Yeah. It's frustrating. It's frustrating, Jim, because I was about to play the both sides.
Now, hold on. I'm saying I can see both sides.
All right.
Now, I still have to give my take on this, and my take is I don't go to Joey Wentz
so
in a 0-0 game with Jared Jones 85 pitches.
Ultimately, I think the runs come around to score no matter which way you go here. So I'm not too really upset. I guess I don't mind taking him out when 5 days ago, as you mentioned, everyone was really, really concerned that we just sent Jared Jones to the IL with Tommy John surgery, and so on that front, I'm like, it's fine. It's a meaningless game. You want him to go out on a high, talk about a good 4 innings. You want to save the arm. I get that. But I also do understand why you want him staying in there. You want him to get the confidence up to see if he can get out of it. But I don't have an issue with them taking him out. But I also don't blame anyone for wanting him to stay in. Does that make sense? Like, I think I probably would have leaned toward taking him out. Maybe not for Joey Wentz. I don't know who I would have gone to be honest. I haven't put a whole lot of thought into it.
Not a whole lot of options out there. If you're wanting that lefty matchup,
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. But I'm never going to be mad about, especially after the Johan Oviedo debacle last year. I don't really care if they're taking a guy out at 85 pitches in his first full season as a starter.
Well, it it kind of sort of worked.
Yeah.
I mean, bases loaded, 1 out, you give up 2 runs. It's not the end of the world. And luckily, those were the only 2 runs the Pirates gave up. So Wentz gets the job done. Like I said, leaves the bases loaded, down 2-0. Rodon still pitching for the Yankees in the 6th, and then the Pirates immediately answer. Nick Gonzales, leadoff homer. Bryan Reynolds then goes back-to-back with another solo homer. Gonzales is 6th of the year. Reynolds is 23rd of the year. So 2 swings of the bat, and you're right back in it. Both homers, definitely Yankee Stadium specials. Wouldn't have been out of PNC Park. Gonzalez's would have been just an easy fly out. Bryan Reynolds probably would have hit a double. He hit that one pretty hard. But yeah, both balls.
They were both home runs in the majority of parks at the least. The one thing I felt bad about is that Nick York hit 2 flyouts before that, deeper and harder than either of Reynolds or Gonzales. It had 2 flyouts.
Yeah.
We'll talk about York later, but I just felt really, really bad for the guy because those were 2 quality at bats that he put together. But yeah, no, those were awesome. We really need home runs in this team, and Bryan Reynolds does it again, and we'll get to a second one. But he's a consistent. The consistency of Bryan Reynolds is something else. 25 home run season again, so good for him.
Yeah, and Reynolds is kind of not necessarily slumping. I don't want to say slumping, but September hasn't been his best month. It's probably been his worst month, actually, now that I'm looking at it. Yeah. So, it hasn't been his best month. He hasn't homered since September 2nd. It's been 25 days since Bryan Reynolds' last homer. So yeah, it was good to see him homer in the 6th there. And again, he homers in the 8th as well. Homers from both sides of the plate, always a cool stat. I think Gary put that in the chat here somewhere. But anytime you can homer from both sides of the plate in the same game, I just feel like that's just kind of a cool accomplishment.
Yeah, it is, and especially back to back. It was very cool, and good for Nick Gonzales. It's been ages since we've had a Nick Gonzales home run. I feel like.
Yeah, it has been.
Like I don't think he's had one since he's come. Like he's been good since coming back from the IL, but I don't think he's had a home run yet, has he?
Nick Gonzales, that is his first home run since. Ooh, making me go back here. Oh yeah, it's definitely way before his injury. It's his first homer since June 15th.
Wow.
So it's been a while. But yeah, I mean he's putting together an okay September. He's hitting 288. He's got a 702 OPS. I think what's nice to see about Gonzales is, I mean, you look at his season numbers now, and if you would have told me Nick Gonzales was going to hit 274 with a 709 OPS, I've been like, I'll take that. I'll take that from Nick Gonzales, right? And I think there's room. I think you've seen growth from Nick Gonzales this year from last year. And then on top of that, I think you can clearly see that there's like he's been getting better. His approach looks better. He's not striking out as much. And it's like, okay, he took a step forward this year. If he can take just another small step forward next year, he's a very useful everyday major league second baseman at that point.
Yeah. So 2 things about Gonzales. He's at almost a 100-point jump in OPS from this year to last year. That's big. And the strikeout percentage is under 20%. That was the huge concern about him, is that, yeah, he can, when he makes contact, it's good, but he strikes out a whole lot. And is he hitting the ball as hard as I'd like? No. But, for your second baseman, yeah, if 100-point OPS jump to 709 is big. It's a very big improvement. And again, it's kind of like the Jared Jones thing. Like you could build off of this, the jump that you see from last year to this year. Like it's a quality major league player if the progression just keeps going up. And I'd like to see him utilized a bit more on the base paths. Dude is fast. I want to see him. I want to see him run more. Even though the Pirates ran a lot tonight and it was kind of a disaster.
Yeah, Bryan Reynolds took off on a ball in the dirt. He got out. Connor Joe tried stealing. He got out. Yeah, it wasn't a pretty night on the bases tonight. But hey, when you're hitting the ball over the fence,
Did O'Neal Cruz get thrown out too? Am I imagining that ninth inning?
Cruz did not get thrown out. No.
Okay, I stepped away from my laptop at that point. So
no, you're thinking about yesterday.
My bad.
Maybe. But yeah, I think it's great to see because so many young guys that you were banking on seeing improvement from this year, you didn't see it. I mean, you can go across the board. You didn't see it from Henry Davis. You didn't see it from Jack Swinsky. You didn't see it from, like G1 Bay. You didn't see it really from Jared Triolo. Like none of the younger guys that you were like, I really hope these people can contribute. None of them did. But Gonzales did. Like Gonzales made that jump forward, and I think you always look for upgrades during the offseason. Like if the opportunity presents itself where like a clear, better second baseman becomes available to you, you take it. But I'm pretty comfortable right now writing Nick Gonzalez's name in as the opening day second baseman next year.
I could see a world where I just think Nick York is a better bat in terms of how hard he hits the ball and like the barrel that he's able to get. So I could see a world where York replaces him. But yeah, no, he is 100% penciled in a spot on the major league team next year. And I don't think any of us were excited about Nick coming into this year.
No, I think pretty much all of us were like, if we get something cool, but we're not expecting it.
And I remember when he was slumping again, like after his hot start, I'm like, oh, well, there's the Nick Gonzalez we always knew. But then no, he came back from the IL and he made a bunch of adjustments. And no, I have very few complaints about him right now. Because he was never going to be a big homer guy. You might have like a little bit more power, a little more we saw tonight, but no, I'm satisfied. As old school as it sounds, as much as I like numbers, sometimes you just need a 280, 290 hitter in the lineup.
Yeah, I think there's a problem with Nick. Like if Nick Gonzalez is leading off for you, probably not ideal. Nick Gonzalez is probably better off in like the 6 hole. Like let him hunt fastballs and drive in runs. You know, you don't want Nick Gonzalez up there taking a bunch of pitches and going deep into counts. That's not what he's good at. That's not his skill set. His skill set is putting the barrel to the ball when it's in the strike zone. He gets a pitch to hit. So put him in a position where he can utilize that skill set. And yeah, I think if the Pirates can fill in enough offensive talent where that you don't have to bat Nick Gonzalez in the top 5 of an order, you could see him take that other step next year.
Yeah, and it's all about the work he puts in the offseason. But again, it's another guy I'm actually intrigued and not excited. I don't think I'm excited about Nick Gonzalez yet, but like it's someone I'm not worried about next year, which is nice.
Yep. So like I said, Pirates tied up at 2 there in the 6th. Joey Wentz comes back out for the bottom of the 6th, gets an out. Colin Holderman comes in. He finishes the job in the bottom half of the 6th. Carmen Mlodzinski comes in the 7th. He looked really good. He faces the Yankees 1, 2, 3 hitters: Torres, Soto, Jazz Chisholm. Gets Gleyber Torres to ground out, strikes out Juan Soto, strikes out Jazz Chisholm. Tonight was like the best I've seen Carmen Mlodzinski pitch in a while, and he's been looking good lately. But like tonight, I feel like he looked really good.
It's the Mlodzinski of last year.
Mm-hmm.
And we need more of it. I'm not gonna agree with the Bridge to October quite yet. I'm not gonna say he's back. But I would be okay with him like being like a lower leverage role next year. I wouldn't want to give him anything high, but he's a valuable arm.
Yeah, it's good to see him bounce back after coming just kind of in the last month or two. I feel like he's looked a lot better. And like I said, today he looked really good. And he faced some good hitters.
And the reason I'm not saying he's back is because I was the big proponent of the David Bednar is back, and clearly he was not. So I'm not gonna commit myself to a reliever again.
Well, you know who's not back because he didn't go anywhere.
He never left.
And that's who had the 8th inning. Dennis Santana, his welcome back to Yankee Stadium. I can't say enough good words about this guy. He is he is the best scrap heap acquisition I think Ben Cherington has had from a bullpen standpoint.
Do we count Moretta in that or no? Does he
I'm
count
counting
as well?
Moretta. I'm counting
Okay.
Moretta. Like I think Dennis Santana is heads and shoulders better than Dowry Moretta.
All right. I might put Moretta up there, but I would agree with the overall idea. He's been fantastic. I mean, there's nothing else to say. Like I feel like every time I get on here is just another scoreless inning from Dennis Santana. It's great.
And it's not even just scoreless innings. Like he doesn't even give up base runners. Like at all. Like he hasn't given up a base runner in his last 4 outings. He hasn't given up a hit in his last 5 outings. He's been just absolutely money. And it started kind of when the rest of your bullpen just nosedives. When Holderman and Bednar just took a nosedive, all of a sudden Dennis Santana emerged. And it's sad because I wonder what could have been if that was just noticed a little bit earlier, where it's like, hey, Santana's our 8th inning guy now instead of Holderman, or Santana's pitching in these close games instead of Holderman. Like, I wonder if that could have just been noticed a little bit earlier. Could this season have played out any different?
Yeah, and those hypotheticals are always fun and a little agonizing from the Pirate standpoint. I don't know, but like I would say that the most impressive thing is just how he's handled leverage. Because we've seen a lot of guys come in and like start looking okay. Like even as good as Baraki was last year, I don't think any of us really trusted him in high leverage though. But he looked really good last year. Not sure we trusted him in high leverage, though he was getting there. Santana though has come in and basically become an 8th or 9th inning guy for a month and a half. It hasn't looked phased whatsoever.
Yeah, he's basically been unhittable.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing I see from him is that, and again, this is how the Neil Huntington era built the bullpen. You know Joel Hanrahan, Jason Greeley, Tony Watson, all these guys were nobodies, pretty much, and so finding the Dennis Santanas are how you build the bullpen. And if he's if he's your 7th or 8th inning guy next year, I'm okay with that at this point. I again, I would get rid of the whole like 9th, 8th, 7th inning thing in general and like just do it by who's best. But he deserves leverage next year. I'm really impressed. I don't know what they did with him, but kudos to Oscar Marine.
Everybody, I want to mention something. Everybody in the comments saying Moretta wasn't a scrap heap acquisition because we traded Kevin Newman for him. And I just want you all to know Kevin Newman's terrible. And when you trade Kevin Newman for somebody, that's called a scrap heap acquisition.
Kevin Newman is.
I just want to make sure everybody knows what I'm saying here.
Kevin Newman is the scrap heap.
Like if you're trading Kevin Newman for anybody, that is the definition of a scrap heap acquisition. Okay. But yeah, going on, I agree with you. Like Dennis Santana going into next year is one of your high leverage relievers. Whether or not they bring back Aroldis Chapman, like Dennis Santana is probably the reliever. I don't know if I necessarily trust. Right now, I trust him the most. I don't know if that's something that'll carry over like over a year, but I think it's an interesting conversation to be had depending on kind of what they do with this bullpen this offseason, because they are going to have to add something, if you're losing Chapman and you can't really rely on Bednar off the bat. I'm not giving up on Bednar by any means, but I think going into next year, like if you just said, okay, fast forward, if tomorrow was opening day 2025 and you don't have Chapman on this team, Dennis Santana's probably my closer.
Probably, yeah. If we're not talking about like an off season to get ready, then yeah, he's the best one by far.
Yeah, which is wild.
Yeah, not Pirates team never. It's always some surprise. And I do think Bednar will be back next year in some capacity. I just think his stuff has been too good this year to like really give up on. Holderman should, and I feel like Holderman would be seen a lot less bad if his blowups didn't happen within like a span of 2 weeks. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So like, but I would put him easily at least as a seventh inning guy. If you're making me do a rigid structure, I would do seventh or eighth inning in a heartbeat.
Yeah, absolutely. Santana does have 2 more years of control, by the way, after this year. So he's not a free agent. Just to make sure there. Yeah, so I mean he'll be back next year, and definitely definitely a great acquisition. So when it comes to the top half of the eighth, let's say Santana came in with that lead to pick up the hold, and that was because of Bryan Reynolds' second home run of the game. We already talked about Reynolds a little bit, but yeah, 2-run homer there that scored Billy Cook, who got on with a base hit. So, and that was a really that was a good at bat by Billy Cook too. That allowed him to score there. So, but I mean, great game by Reynolds. He kind of needed a couple more homers. Now I just need O'Neal Cruz. I need O'Neal Cruz to get 2 more homers to hit my over 22.5 bet. So
okay,
come on.
The only Pirates gamble I made is 72.5 because I felt like that was free money. I don't
hit that a while ago.
I don't trust any of these players to get me money because when I gamble, I don't win. So
yeah, but and then Chapman comes in the 9th, shuts the door down. I mean, you got to give credit to the bullpen today. Joey Wentz gave up that single in the 5th, and then the bullpen didn't give up another hit after that. Holderman, Majinski, Santana, Chapman. Not only did they not give up a hit, they didn't give up a base runner. So a completely dominant relief game for those guys. And as I said, Chapman came in. He was pumping 101, 102, struck out 2 batters. Efficient 9th inning, 8 pitches, 7 strikes. Like he was on. He was on today.
Yeah. Probably have one more outing of Chapman in a Pirates uniform after this.
Probably.
I doubt they bring him back, but thank you for your service, and please get off my team for personal reasons. But no, I thought it was very poetic that Santana and Chapman were the 2 to close out tonight's game. That was kind of cool.
2 ex-Yankees.
Yeah. One who was left off the Yankees playoff roster, and the guy who was so bad that the Yankees cut him for free. So
nice little revenge game. Yeah. And the Clay Holmes. We got to see Clay Holmes pitch for the Yankees too, but we couldn't get anything going off of him.
Someone in my chat was like, we need to bring in Will Crow for the save. And get that PTSD flashback.
Yeah, no thank you. No thank you. But I mean, all in all, great way to start the last series of the year. They're 1 win away from last season's win total. Paul Skeens is starting tomorrow against Luis Heel. Nice matchup of 2. I mean, those are probably the 2 best rookie pitchers in baseball right now, facing off against each other tomorrow.
I'd say Jones is better than Heel, but I'm a little biased.
Yeah, maybe.
But no, it should be exciting.
Yeah, no, should be a great game. Let's give away some sandwiches.
Let's give away some sandwiches.
Be like if you haven't yet, just like Jameson here, hashtag raise it. Let's get these in the comments. We'll give everybody a couple extra seconds to get those in there. That'll get you into the contest for 2 free Primanti Brothers sandwiches. We have 57 entries right now. While you're putting those in, just a quick reminder, hit the like button on the video, subscribe to the page if you haven't already. If you're watching or listening to this after the fact, write a review, 5-star review, no 4 stars or 3 stars. We don't need any of that. 5-star reviews only. But no, like the video, all that good stuff. But yeah, let's give away some sandwiches. So best of luck to everyone. There are 58 of you in here. Hopefully this isn't the last time we're giving away sandwiches, but if it is, the winner is Kenbo 33. Congratulations. That's the first time
Yeah,
winner.
I don't think I've seen Kenbo 33 before. So congratulations.
I don't think I have. Congrats. To get your sandwiches, please DM North Shore 9 on your favorite social media platform, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, whatever. You can email us also at northshore9@gmail.com. So we can send you your 2 free Primanti Brothers sandwiches.
Yeah.
All right. Again, we'll be back here tomorrow. Paul Skeen's on the mound. So hopefully giving away more sandwiches, hopefully talking about another Pirates win. And then hopefully next Sunday we can, Sunday we can talk about maybe even a sweep. That would be cool.
But yeah,
this is my last post-game show of the year.
I think this is my last post-game show of the year too. So I just wanted to thank everyone. It's been great. It's been a great year. As frustrating as the Pirates have been, it's been really nice being able to talk with you guys. So I appreciate you all, especially you, Paul.
There we go. Hopefully only 2 more days left of Derek Shelton managing this team. So, Paul will have to find something else to get mad at you about next year. All right, guys. We'll catch you later. Thanks for watching. Go Bucks.
See you guys tomorrow.
Hey, you all. Thank you for watching. I know we try to provide the most entertaining content that we can, and we'd love to spread it to as many people as possible. So I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but if you could take the 5 seconds to like this video and subscribe to the page, it helps out so much more than you know. Thank you, and let's go Bucks.